Haslam, the first rider to go underneath 1 minute 26 seconds round this track, who put himself on pole position. The standings, though: Shaky Byrne, 231 points, double race winner last time out at Brands Hatch, 25-point advantage over Leon Haslam. Jason O'Halloran is in third place ahead of Michael Laverty's Tyco BMW, which has qualified fairly sluggishly, Dan Linfoot's Honda and Richard Cooper's build-based BMW. Below that vital red line, but only just, you'll find James Ellison, Luke Mossey, Christian Idden and Peter Hickman. Further back, Tommy Bridewell on the lone Bennett Suzuki is ahead of Glenn Irwin's B. Weiser Ducati. Lee Jackson fast throughout the week on the build-based BMW. John Hopkins 14th overall, he's qualified 15th for ePay Me Yamaha. And Danny Buchan now on the Qingdao MSS Performance Kawasaki, the bike that he raced last year. Leon Haslam on pole position then, with that scalding lap of 1 minute 25.923. Shaky Byrne in second place for B. Weiser Ducati. Richard Cooper, build-based BMW, in third. Lee Jackson, his teammate, on 126.209 ahead of Jason O'Halloran's Honda and Luke Mossey's Kawasaki. Seventh place for Tommy Bridewell ahead of James Ellison on the second JG Speedfit Kawasaki and Dan Linfoot for Honda Racing. And the fourth row of the grid, the third JG Speedfit Kawasaki. Hickman ahead of Glenn Irwin on the second Ducati and Jake Dixon on the Briggs Equipment BMW. Christian Idden, Michael Laverty, John Hopkins are behind them, then Danny Buchan, Alistair Seeley and Billy McConnell. When the lights go out in the race, whoa, Shaky Byrne gets a massive wheelie off the line, but it doesn't seem to have slowed him down. One of the Hondas came through. I think that was O'Halloran got through from the second row, but he gets eclipsed by the Bennett Suzuki. What a start. Tommy Bridewell launched his way through the pack as well. The start's so vital here on this thin ribbon of tarmac in Lincolnshire. And it looks as if Shaky Byrne, despite that monster wheelie, has grabbed the advantage from Leon Haslam, who was on pole position. Haslam gets alongside him as they break into Park Curve. It's Richard Cooper's made a great start as well, and that's Haslam in front as they go on the short burst to Chris Curve.
Well, Bridewell did exactly what he said he was going to do from the right-hand side. Your only option really is going round the outside, keeping it wide at Coppice, and then straight up the inside in the first part of Charlie's, and it worked like a charm for him.
Dropping steeply downhill now to the second gear left-hander at Mansfield. And Leon Haslam has the advantage. Hold your breath for this moment. We had a big incident there on the first lap of the Superstock 600 race. And then as they flick right and left through the chicane, how balletic does that look? And on to the mountain. It's Richard Cooper there just ahead of Tommy Bridewell as they launch over the mountaintop. Lee Jackson is behind them in fifth place. And as they go through Hall Bends, drop into the sharp right-hander at the hairpin. Yes, Leon Haslam as well. Shaky Byrne said he didn't necessarily want to lead it, James, early on, just to see who's around him and what's going on.
Yeah,
so he's doing that.
Fourth is O'Halloran, and then it's Jackson, and then it's Bridewell.
And as they hurtle across the line now, we're onto the second lap of 18. And the pace we're expecting to be pretty darn quick. We've got Ellison in seventh place, Linfoot eighth, Hickman in ninth, Luke Mossey in 10th ahead of Christian Idden, Danny Buchan, Glenn Irwin, Jake Dixon made a poor start. Michael Laverty in 15th with just a single point to his name at this stage in the race.
For Cooper and O'Halloran having a quick peep up the inside of Shane Byrne into Park.
Everybody on pretty similar pace in these early stages of the race. Leon Haslam setting the pace from the front as he loves to do. The short, stocky Derbyshireman as they drop downhill now. And again, the really steep descent into Mansfield. And you can, James, this with it. Whoa, and someone make a big, was that Hickman?
I think
made
Hickman,
a big mistake on the downhill and lost a couple of places.
Easy done. It's steep downhill, really difficult to get your bike pulled up for. Off camber as well.
And then this one, you can hardly see how steep it is uphill from the moment they switch through the left-hander there at the foot of the mountain. Leon Haslam making his return to British Superbikes and therefore, of course, to Cadwell Park, absent since 2008.
Bridewell's disposed of Lee Bob Jackson somewhere in the run-in from the bottom of the mountain and Hall Bend section. Certainly, he's up to fifth now, is Bridewell on the Suzuki.
1 minute 28.529 on that lap for Leon Haslam, so they're just warming things up there on the second lap of 18. And as Richard Cooper said, a long physical race here at Cadwell Park, especially for a little fella like him, 9 stone dripping wet.
I'll tell you, with last time I raced here, I was on a superbike and it had about 140 brake horsepower. When you got two little... Oh, here comes O'Halloran. That's
inside Cooper.
Yeah, really neat as well. He's run wide though now.
Cooper tucks back inside and holds him off as they go through Chris Curve. And then the Australian has another look up the inside and sits him up through Chris Curve. That was a move.
Well, it didn't really sit him up. Actually, Cooper went a little bit sort of wide because he'd gone tight going in, and that allowed the Halloran back.
Jason told me he was feeling a bit stressed yesterday, James, but he's perfectly relaxed and happy today.
Good. What was the...
He didn't say what the reason for the stress was. I think just qualifying probably and wanting to be somewhere near the front on the grid.
Well, it wouldn't have been constipation anyway, coming out of Cadwell Park.
Over the top of the mountain.
Sorry, Jack.
Haslam leads Byrne. O'Halloran in third place. Cooper nudged back to fourth.
And this circuit is so tight and so twisty, especially with these things with 200 horsepower now, these superbikes, that you don't even have any rest. You can't sit behind somebody and see how the race goes even. You're just working the whole time. It's really physical track is this.
But lovely. Howling across the line again, and that's up. There's 2.9 seconds cover the first 11 riders back to Christian Idden, who's just ahead of his teammate Michael Laverty. They've got the better of Glenn Irwin, so they're the Tyco BMWs.
Oh, it's a big crash of that Leon Jackson, I think, maybe. No, it's let's have a look.
It is Jackson.
It is Jackson, yeah.
Oh, you can't believe what he's done. You can see the frustration. A massive crash from the local boy. He lives in Lincoln, a practicing plumber, and he's not going to be pleased with himself. That was a
He's
big
lost
one.
the front. Reasonably unusual place to crash losing the front. Is that more likely at Charlie's? That's Charlie's 2. Actually, between Charlie's 1 and Charlie's 2, more likely lose the rear as you're dropping out of there because the camber drops away.
So a massive moment then for 19-year-old, the 20-year-old Lee Jackson. And on the fourth lap of 18, and look at the difference. What has happened? Leon Haslam has suddenly shed a place. He's dropped to third. Shaky Byrne has an advantage. Haslam's had a big moment somewhere, James. Fastest man on track so far, O'Halloran, who's now second. His last lap was a 1 minute 27.2. It'll be interesting to see what Leon Haslam's time is at the end of this lap.
Yeah, we missed that watching the Leon Jackson incident, but that happened somewhere towards the end of Park Straight, Park Corner, or the Gooseneck, that kind of area.
And as they crossed the line, Leon Haslam's time was a 1:28.3, so he lost about a second on that lap.
Yeah, he's made a big mistake on that top end of the track, like I said.
Mixture of howling four-cylinder machines and the bark of those Ducatis, those twin-cylinder Ducatis, as they head back out into the country. Remember the championship situation. It's Richard Cooper, Dan Linfoot, Michael Laverty, Jason O'Halloran, Haslam and Byrne. They are the men holding the vital top 6 positions for the showdown. And there's only Alton Park next time out, 3 races there before the showdown takes place. And everybody looks as if they're... And we think it might be Leon Haslam having gone wide at Mansfield at the bottom of the hill here that cost him time.
Yeah.
So the 5th lap of 18 here at Cadwell Park. Haslam closing back in on Australia's Jason O'Halloran from Wollongong, a hotbed of motorcycle racing talent from the Australian subcontinent. Ooh, Shaky Byrne. Those just looks a little bit sketchy coming over the top of the mountain there. Everywhere else around here he looks superb. Only ever won here once, and that was in 2003, but he's had 10 podiums.
Yeah, he's always at pains to point out that it's not the spectacular line round the mountain that's the quickest always.
No,
always says that. He says, look, there's people that look more spectacular than me, but, you know, I'm quick over there.
1 minute 26.751. He's inching in on that lap record of Leon Haslam set in 2007. There's Dan Linfoot, number 4. He's running in 6th place, right behind Tommy Bridewell on the Halsall Bennett Suzuki.
And going quicker than Bridewell is Linfoot as well. He's caught him up.
Ellison's behind them. So too Luke Mossey, Peter Hickman, Idden now in 10th place.
Look at Haslam. Is it going to work? Yeah, if he can get it stopped, it is.
And he does. So Cooper has just been gapped a bit now in fourth place. He's got Bridewell and Linfoot for company. There are those three as they drop down into the gooseneck, which is a huge blind downhill flick. Right and then left.
It's the easiest place to get caught out because it's blind, because it's off camber, and because you're going a lot quicker than you think. It's the easiest place to get caught out. I've seen so many track day riders go down the road there.
Richard Cooper loves this place. He scored his first ever victory in the National Superstock 1000 Championship here at Cadwell Park after missing 3 rounds, having surgery for arm pump, and he said it worked a treat. He came back here, he won the race, and he said in one meeting I felt like I'd made the right decision and been repaid all that I needed for having gone through it.
Bridewell wide.
That was Bridewell wide. Yeah. That gave a chance surely to Dan Linfoot. The Honda gets alongside the Bennett Suzuki, and they nail it down the finishing straight, and that is the opportunity Linfoot needed. He moves through. Ellison's now right with Tommy Bridewell, and so too closing the gap is Luke Mossey on the Quattro Plant Tech Care Kawasaki, the two bright green machines. Shaky Byrne with a 1 second advantage. Leon Haslam now back into second place ahead of the red and black Honda, and then this clutter of riders coming down into Park Curve.
Yeah, we need to see what Leon Haslam can do when he's got a little bit of clear track and somebody to chase. Not much with the look of this.
Shaky Byrne, 39 years old, turns 40 in December, and someone made the mistake of mentioning potential retirement to him and was given very short shrift. He's enjoying this far too much. Shaky leads the way. Haslam, O'Halloran, Cooper, Linfoot and Bridewell are the top six.
That was just clipped the curve there. Mistake for Dan, that was.
And that's crucial in the points for the showdown. You can see how disconsolate the North Yorkshireman is as he trudges away, because he's got 135 points against 122 for James Ellison, who is seventh.
Clips again. What's it? Flicks it left, look, bang. And that's a big. That wasn't even a tickle. Sometimes a tickle's enough to lift the front up. That wasn't. That was a big bang, was that.
The bike tried to rebound onto his legs, but fortunately seems to have missed him. So there he is, the man who listens to Coldplay before the race to calm himself down. Will be feeling a tad annoyed. And here's Haslam now, clawing back a few inches on Shaky Byrne as they're going into the 8th lap of 18. 1:26.59, a new lap record. Leon Haslam on the green Kawasaki has broken his elderly lap record that he set with that Airways Ducati back in 2007. Third place, O'Halloran looking very, very strong for a rostrum finish. This is the battle going on behind them. Richard Cooper under some pressure now from Tommy Bridewell, and then we have the bright yellow helmet there of the JG Speedfit bike, James Ellison. Mossey, Hickman, Laverty is now into 9th place. 10 for Irwin. Idden's got dropped to 11th ahead of Danny Buchan. So Shaky Byrne currently leading the way on the 8th of 18 laps as we look at Richard Cooper at the moment fending off Tommy Bridewell. Bridewell disappointed with that 7th place on the grid, but he's been making it the most of the actual race, and especially of that start that he managed to create.
Haslam quicker in sector 1 as well, but not just quite as quick as Byrne in sector 2.
Oh, and Tommy Bridewell got an inside line there.
He's got it.
That was Richard Cooper, just got the line a bit wrong as he came into Hall Bends, and it's given Ellison a chance to have a look as well.
A good presence of mind by and quick thinking by Bridewell, that you know.
He took advantage of it quickly. 3 curves before, didn't he, and had himself perfectly placed. Now he's got clear track ahead of him. What can he do? He's into 4th place ahead of Cooper, Ellison, Mossey, Hickman.
This is it, look. And that was only 2 feet wide from Cooper, but Bridewell saw the opportunity. Now Haslam on Byrne, up into Park Corner. He's got it, if he can stop it.
Shaky thinks he can't, but he doesn't.
That was a little bit of a block pass, was that?
Yeah. Right, entertaining now. We're on the half-distance lap, the 9th lap of 18 in the searing heat of high summer here in Lincolnshire. And this is the battle between the 2 men at the top of the championship table. And the man in green, Leon Haslam, needs the man in red, Shaky Byrne. One man who's never won the British Superbike Championship, and one man who is a serial winner of the British Superbike Championship. Haslam, of course, has been runner-up in this series previously. He's been runner-up in the World Superbike Championship.
A serial winner used to be somebody who went through the cornflakes to get a toy out the bottom.
Yeah, I was one of those naughty rascals.
Hairpin again.
Shaky shadowing the Kawasaki.
Oh, Halloran's had a good lap.
Yes, his best lap so far is a 126.96, which was just 3/10 shy of the old lap record. And as he's crosses the line now, 127.49. Faster, yes, than these two in front of him, as they've chopped one another up a bit and done a bit of block passing.
Yeah, he wasn't so much in with the quicker lap. It was Byrne and Haslam slowing each other down.
Bridewell still there in 4th place, Cooper in 5th, ahead of Ellison, Mossey, Hickman, Irwin, Laverty into 10th place, Iden in 11th. The guys just outside, only just outside the top 6 incidentally, James Ellison, Luke Mossey, Christian Iden and Peter Hickman. They're the guys who need to be trying to pick up some hefty points if they want to nudge themselves into contention. And so too, of course, Tommy Bridewell, although he's got a colossal gap to bridge to get into that top 6.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Tommy last week and he said that he knows he's got to be on the rostrum every single race left before the showdown to get anywhere near it. And that depended on other people underperforming.
Well, at the moment he's in 4th place. He's got a clear track. It'd be interesting to see what his last lap was his best, James, 127.3. So he is finding the pace with a clear track ahead of him. Again, O'Halloran's had a good lap here.
Or is it? Is it Haslam just not going so quick now he's got a bit of clear road? I don't think this is going to be a really quick lap from Haslam or Byrne. I think that's part of it.
Check out the times as they rip across the line. And 128.1 for the leaders, 127.5, 127.1, the second faster than the leaders. Tommy Bridewell, his second successive fastest lap on the Suzuki.
Oh, dear. Sorry, Tommy. You always worry slightly.
Cooper, Ellison, Mossey, Hickman, Irwin and Laverty still the regulation top 10.
But
James.
The pace has dropped since Haslam's hit the front again. The pace has really dropped off by about a second and a half for those boys.
So that could be a deliberate ploy on his part in the middle part of the race?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, if he thought he could, he's caught Shane Byrne. If he thought he could sort of clear it off, I'm sure he would have had a go at doing that. There's no real reason for slowing the pace down, I can see.
O'Halloran, well, it's certainly Jason is giving Jason a sniff. Remember, he scored his first victory of his BSB career earlier in the year, so he's certainly thinking, oh, yeah, I could get a sniff at another one here.
Mistake from Shane Byrne there. He clipped a curve with the rear and had the thing jump in there. They do look like they're trying hard, but just not getting round so quick to me, both Haslam and Byrne.
And Tommy Bridewell taking advantage of it. He's closing the gap. Richard Cooper is still heading up that queue of the 2 Kawasaki's of Ellison and Mossey and the 3 Kawasaki's. Peter Hickman there in the red boots. And right behind him in red and black, Glenn Irwin.
Well, what's happened? Shane's made a mistake there because Halloran's through. Maybe barn corner, maybe going into barn.
Oh, and he had a big moment there. The Ducati shook its head on the way into Charlie's.
He's made a couple of mistakes this last lap. Yeah, that's wide at barn. He's gone into barn too quick, run wide, not been able to get the power down, and that's allowed the Halloran through.
So Jason O'Halloran, who lives just up the road in Louth, where his team is based, would dearly love a cracking result here, and he's through into 2nd place on the 12th of 18 laps, so approaching 2/3 race distance. Haslam leading the way. Richard Cooper, number 47, just ahead of James Ellison. Ellison, one of the men who's lingering just on the fringe of the top 6 in the showdown slots. There's the 2 Tyco BMWs shooting through picture. Iden now back ahead of Michael Laverty. They're having their own private battle on the blue and white BMWs.
It's weird, is this? Looking at the timing screen, the times are all over the place. Now, last lap by Haslam is getting down to something like again. That's a 27.4. That's about 7/10 quicker than he was the lap before and the lap before that. So it's really weird.
There's number 24, Iden, and then number 7, Michael Laverty. They've exchanged places on that previous lap. So Laverty, who doesn't seem to have been comfortable all weekend, struggling to get the points that he needs, of course, to keep himself safely in that top 6.
He's not going to get many there.
And as O'Halloran crosses the line now, he's got Shaky Byrne back for company. So I'm sure the Pete Weiser Ducati there in 3rd place will be having looking for a move, possibly at the end of the Park Straight. Fastest lap classification looks like this. This will decide starting positions on the grid for the second race later today. So we'd have Haslam, Byrne, O'Halloran on the front row, Bridewell, Linfoot and Cooper on the second. 2/3 race distance completed, and Haslam drifting fabulously through Park Curve. And Shane Byrne now shadowing Jason O'Halloran's Honda, and all the time the Suzuki of Tommy Bridewell inching in. Remember, you get 5 podium points for winning a race, so that would be very welcome for Leon Haslam, because at the moment there's quite a substantial gap between him and Shane Byrne on podium points.
Yeah, 14 the difference. Shane Byrne on 37, Haslam on 23, and that makes a big difference when they get into the showdown, I'll tell you.
Tommy Bridewell, he's not shy of clattering the white line as he comes into Hall Bends, and he really uses every whisker of track width that he can find here.
Yeah, just got to be really careful of the curbs at a couple of places around Cadwell, as we've seen from Linfoot. Dead easy to clip curves at the chicane, bottom of the mountain.
Another fast lap from Bridewell, this it's got to be. 1:27.2, again fastest man on track, and again closing the gap on this battle as Shaky Byrne thought about getting round the right-hand side there of O'Halloran.
He makes me laugh, just Bridewell. He's a funny lad. I spent a day at a shop open day with him down in Bristol, and he just had me laughing. He's funny at meetings, but he's a little bit nervous, which knocks the edge off his sense of humour. He's a funny lad.
Look how strong he was on the brakes then into Park Curve. He ate up a few feet there on those two in front of him. This could become a three-way battle if he keeps this up, but what might be against him is time, James. We're on the 14th lap of 18. He's inching in. Haslam's not escaping at the front.
Hang on. This a man who, with 1 lap left and 2 seconds down, thought he could win the race down at Brands Hatch and straight off.
Correct.
He will not think time's running out.
No. You're right.
It's loads of time.
So this is developing into quite an intense battle. There's the Suzuki. So we've got Kawasaki, Honda, Ducati, Suzuki, James.
Oh, whoa! Really?
O'Halloran shakes the head of the Honda as he lands raggedly off the mountain.
Well, that could have easily gone very wrong, and it's an indication just how hard O'Halloran's trying.
And that was at that moment, of course, gave... It was a kind of momentary discoloration moment for Shaky Byrne in his footsteps, and that meant that Bridewell was able to get right onto the back wheel of the Ducati. So now he really is in the mix here. So as they cross the line, it's another 27.2 lap for Bridewell that's brought him into touch with those two bikes in front of him.
Yeah, Bridewell definitely the beneficiary of that one.
Oh, well held, Jason. So O'Halloran, former runner-up in the National Super Stock Championship. Here comes the Ducati, though, launching an assault. Is he late enough on the brakes? Oh, he's hanging it all out. Jason goes for the inside line, but there isn't the space to get inside at Chris Kerr.
No, there isn't. You know what we're thinking, because if somebody outbrakes you there, you kind of know they're going to have to slow it down too much or drop it wide on the exit. So you set up for that inside line straight away when you pass.
The steep downhill again. Will Shaky be looking to haul in Leon Haslam? He's got just a matter of 3 and a bit laps to do it. And also Bridewell now has clearly in his sights Jason O'Halloran's Honda. You can see clear track behind them now, and there's been a change. James Ellison has nipped his way through, and Glenn Irwin's come through as well. Oh, Richard Cooper's made a mistake there and allowed a shed load of people. 4 people have got past him. So Cooperman on the build-based BMW has dropped right back behind Peter Hickman. Byrne now is burning up a bit of tarmac. Now he's beginning to close the gap on the race leader. And let's check the lap times as they whistle across the line. This time it's 27.4 against a 26.7 for Shaky Byrne. So somewhere Leon Haslam, the new lap record holder, needs to find a bit more pace. Has he got it in there? Is he wearing out his tyres? Is the bike not behaving quite as he wants it to? But certainly the Ducati has the pace.
It's almost starting to look like a little bit of a master plan from Shane Byrne, this to me.
Both of the former World Championship riders waving a leg as they drop into Park Curve. O'Halloran, a very neat, tidy rider, doesn't have any truck with that sort of business. 16th lap of 18 then, just 2 more to go after this as Leon Haslam tries to keep himself at the front and notch up another race win.
The speed at which Shane Byrne's managed to catch, as we have a look at Ollie. Leon Haslam's misses. If the speed at which Shane Byrne's caught up, Leon Haslam was ominous, I think.
Leon's enjoyed 3 race wins so far. The first time at Alton Park, and then the first race at Brands Hatch Indy, the first race at Knock Hill. Twice second at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit on August the 7th behind Shaky Byrne.
That's Eden.
Christian Eden. Eden's gone down, and that he'll be despairing because he needed those points. He was in, and Mossy had slowed up. Mossy's slowed up. Well, he doesn't look slow now, but he's lost a truckload of time. He's picked himself back up, but obviously not going as quickly as he was. So across the line then, Glenn Irwin, James, another master plan for BYD Ducati. Irwin has plugged his way through to 5th.
Now that's Eden at the mountain, trying to get away from the bike.
And he may have clipped the curb on the inside of the right-hander or just lost the front there.
Now, it's a brave move leaving it to the last lap if you're with somebody and you feel you've got the pace to win, because it is so difficult to pass, and you're not guaranteed anywhere. Look at that. You see trying so hard there.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the exit to Chris Curve, which they're going through at something around 120 miles per hour, and a full-blooded slide for Leon Haslam's green Kawasaki there. And this is nip and tuck for both first place and third.
You can't really leave it, even if you're very confident you can get past it. Your pass move can easily go wrong, and then you don't get another opportunity. It's you've got to get past when you can. It is difficult to pass around here.
Jason O'Halloran just a little bit ragged over the hilltop there at the mountain. Oh, this is tantalising stuff. We're coming towards the final lap of the first race of the MCE Insurance Pretty Superbike Championship race at Cadwell Park. The party in the park, August Bank Holiday, back on its traditional date here in the Pretty Superbike calendar. And as they come howling out of the final turn, Haslam still has it by a couple of bike lengths over Shane Byrne. 127.1s for them.
Look at Shane Byrne looking for the outside to put him on the inside. He did have a look at that, definitely.
And so too did Tommy Bridewell on the background on the Honda of O'Halloran. And both of them will be making enormous effort. This is where Byrne will be tracking the Kawasaki every inch of the way, and they'll be looking to pull a pass at the end of the park straight. But we know how Haslam's strong on the brakes.
Haslam defended, but has he missed it? No, he's got it.
And behind them,
I think
Bridewell might have inched through. Oh, what a move by Byrne! He's got him on the inside at Chris Curve. Whoa,
I've never seen that
move.
Unbelievable move from Shane Byrne, that.
Oh, and behind them, it's side by side as they come down the hill. Oh, Leon Haslam, I thought he tucked it in too deep there. And as they come out of that, I think that's still O'Halloran.
Yeah.
O'Halloran seemed to get it back into it by coming round the outside at the gooseneck. Some great moves going on here between these two guys, between these 4 guys. Over the top of the mountain, then Shaky Byrne. That outrageous move round the outside of Chris Curve might have done it for the Ducati.
I don't think Haslam's close enough to mount an attack into the hairpin, is it? No.
He's going to try and get the drive out of there and see if he's in a position to drop down at Barn. But unless he can let something happen special as he comes round the outside, I don't think he's going to get the drive. It's going to be Shaky Byrne. 3rd race win in a row, 75th race win of his BSB career. And across the line, O'Halloran holds on to 3rd. And behind him, we've got Bridewell, then Glenn Irwin crosses the line. What a ride by the Irishman. Ellison 6th, Hickman 7th. Richard Cooper crosses the line in 8th. Just Jake Dixon, terrific ride in 9th. Laverty gets some sketchy points in 10th place, but it's 6 precious points. And Paul Bird and the team can blow out their various cheeks and think, wow, that was close run. A disappointed Ron Haslam there. And Shaky Byrne congratulated by Tommy Bridewell, who finished 4th. Danny Buchan snatched 11th place in his return to his 2015 Kawasaki. And Shaky Byrne shakes hands with doubtless delighted. He's always a chirpy lad, Glenn Irwin.
Really good ride from Irwin, that.
Mark Smith-Halverson and Terry Rama discuss how that didn't quite work out for them, but they can't be too disappointed. That was a cracking race.
They will be disappointed.
Yeah, all right, they will be disappointed. McConnell finished 13th, Hopkins 14th, Seeley 15th, got the last championship point. I was impressed with Glenn Irwin, James. He lost ground early on. He was outside the top 12, and he ended up 5th.
Yeah, massive.
A fastest lap of 127.2.
Yep, good ride for Irwin. But that pass that Shane Byrne pulled on Leon Haslam was unreal. You struggled to get past a back marker there that's going 3 second laps slower than you. Never mind somebody on exactly the same pace. Brilliant move.
So Leon Haslam there, but very much part of a terrific race there. He so nearly managed to win it, and the man they call the Pocket Rocket will be a little disappointed at that. Shane Byrne certainly will not be upset at the fact that he has pulled off another terrific race. Look at the crowds packed beneath the trees, seeking shade from this scorching sunshine and ready to enjoy. I thought for a moment we were going to get a shaky burnout, but he's decided not to give it just there. He's going to ride up the mountain, acknowledge the crowds there. Try and avoid doing anything. See, he'll go for the one-handed wheelie. Shane. Dan Linfoot looking very, very pensive at the end. That was a big disappointment for him, because there'll be been a shuffle around in these scores and the championship standings, and a rueful smile for the applauding crowds.
The only good thing about that is he's completely uninjured, but it was a mistake from him. Clipped a curb. You've got to be careful around here doing that, and it was a big clipping of the curb as well.
James, the speeds these guys are doing, the narrowness of this skinny ribbon of road, it's remarkable that they keep the thing on track at all, to be honest.
Well, that is the job.
Yes, you're right, of course.
Big stopping, lovely stopping from Shane Byrne now.
And delighted team there, Sam on the right of picture, all the lads who work so hard behind the scenes to keep this motorcycle together and give Shaky Byrne the sort of weapon that he can really win races with, and he's done it again, would you believe? And that is only his second race win here at Cadwell Park, and the last one was 2003, also on a Ducati. Shaky Byrne, Be Wiser Ducati, wins that thrilling race then from Leon Haslam. O'Halloran clings on to third place for the local Honda racing team ahead of Tommy Bridewell. Glenn Irwin picks his way through to fifth ahead of Ellison, Hickman, Richard Cooper, Jake Dixon and Michael Laverty. 11th place for Danny Buchan, back on Kawasaki ahead of Luke Mossey. Billy McConnell in 13th, also on a 2015 Kawasaki. And the last point scorers, John Hopkins on the ePayMe Yamaha, Alistair Seeley on the Royal Air Force regular and reserve BMW. The championship standings. Shane Byrne on 256 now has a 30-point advantage over Leon Haslam. Jason O'Halloran is on 191, well clear of Michael Laverty on 143. Linfoot is still in there on 135, 2 points ahead of Richard Cooper. James Ellison now a single point beneath the crucial red line. Luke Mossey in 8th place.